I want you, the listener. Yes, I want you, the listener, to press the like button, the subscribe button, but more importantly, comments. Comments that you liked or disliked the topic discussed. What would you like discussed? Because you, the listener, are who is important to me so that I can provide the value that you want and need.
Don't we have an interesting topic today?
Aren't they all interesting?
Indeed. This one seems a little woo-woo out there, but I don't know that there's anything more personal. Suggested by one of your customers.
Yes.
Accountability starts with people, not process.
That is true. In this world, there's a lot of push on artificial intelligence and getting processes worked out. And it's all about the process, because if the processes work right, everything else works right. We're in a business and in an industry that's very labor driven. We can't do the work without labor. Yes, there's robots that can perform certain duties in our industry, but the reality is when you have the robots that vacuum the carpets, they're taking care of the main corridors, but they can't get into the corners and edges, the alcoves, they're not getting under tables and desks. So you still need somebody physically to go do that type of work. It's about accountability, and accountability can be everything from showing up to work, ensuring that all the trash baskets are dumped, taking care of all the tasks that have to be done, not just sitting there at the end of the night on an iPad and you're checking off a bunch of boxes. Oh yeah, I did that, I did that, I did that, I did that. Or on a paper checklist, oh, I did that, I did that, I did that. And in reality, you didn't. Because the accountability part all comes back in inspection processes when somebody physically goes and looks to see, was that toilet actually cleaned? And they look in the bowl and they see toilet rings, they see hard water stains, they see maybe the chemical is just squirted into the toilet and it's kind of just the color of that chemical is lumped right there and isn't dispersed throughout the toilet water because a bowl swab was never used or a Johnny swab was never used. So those types of accountability, which is partly being an honest individual and a person who's full of integrity, as opposed to just going through the motions. You can have all the processes in the world. You can have, hey, this is the restroom cleaning process, step 1 to step 14. You can have the trash removal process, step 1 to 7, and have all these all laid out. But if the person doesn't follow the process, it doesn't matter. Even if it's done through electronics and some of the softwares that are out there that are there to ensure things are being done, it can still be faked.
For what you have shared with me, for the cleaning company owner, most of their day is troubleshooting problems.
Yes, we troubleshoot problems. We try to grow the business. But in essence, if there's a complaint that comes in, you try to get back to the root. What really happened?
Right.
Did the person show up? Did they do the work? Did the equipment fail?
That having been said, let me back up and ask about the process of just showing up. I realize that arriving for work probably doesn't sound like it's a process for the average owner, the shift supervisor, the evening supervisor perhaps. It is part of training. There is that basic expectation. We could call that a process when you are talking to the employees. The shift starts at 7 p.m. The shift starts at 7 a.m. Whatever it is, that doesn't mean you arrive at 7 a.m. That's when the shift starts. So the process, if I'm following you, is arrive however many minutes early and you are ready to start.
Correct. There's a big difference sometimes in even the generations. When you talk to people that work as baby boomers or even Gen X, we grew up in a time frame that if you were there 15 minutes early, you were late. So showing up on time was extremely late. And that was in every aspect of our life. That wasn't just work. That was even when you were invited over to somebody's house for dinner. You didn't show up right at 7 o'clock. You were always there early and everybody knew it. So if dinner was at 7, you knew by 6:30 if you were hosting that dinner party because your guests were arriving within the next 15 minutes. Some of the other generations since, it's like, well, there should be flex time. Unfortunately, in the janitorial world, there's not a lot of this flex time that's built in because clients will have fobs on doors set for certain times, a start time and an end time. So you can't enter before, but you can't get back into the building after either. So if you happen to be in a cold snow belt and you're taking the trash out and you left your jacket and your keys to the car and in your purse or your wallet on the other side of that door, you're not getting back in.
Yeah. Let's bring this back to the cleaning company owner. Getting back to our title, accountability starts with people, not process. How is Docs Consulting helping them with accountability and process?
It starts with the onboarding process. It starts with the culture that you have in your company. When a person comes in for the interview, are you ready? Or are you still getting all the forms together? What you show people is what they're going to give you back in a lot of cases. So it starts right with the process of when the application's filled out to calling an individual for an appointment. And if you have an online application that's filled out and we'll be back to you within 24 hours if there's something like that, you better be back within 24 hours, not 24 hours and 15 minutes, because you're going to set the standard for how people are going to see that you are treating them, because they'll treat you the same in return. There's a lot of that part starts right at the beginning of onboarding. If the person goes through the interview process and any of the background checks, drug testing, anything like that that may be necessary, and all of that happens, and then there's the actual job offer. Again, how is that job offer? And what are the expectations? And do you have everything laid out? Okay, here's the uniform. These are what you're expected to do. And that's all gone over in an employee handbook. Not just, off the top of your head. You follow the employee manual. It shows people that you are doing things a certain way and that you're being held accountable to make sure that they're handled a certain way. So it starts right from the time that application's filled out all the way to hire and that first night. If the supervisor's supposed to meet them at the front door at 7 p.m., that supervisor needs to be there at 7 p.m. Not late, hopefully a little early so that they have everything set up for that person. But again, it's how you treat others is how they will treat you.
Joel, is this part of your training process with the consulting clients?
Absolutely.
As you step into this part of the training process, what do you find is the biggest complaint from the owner?
Sometimes it's a slew of excuses. All times have changed. Well, that's Johnny. That's just how he is. But how do you treat your customer? What are the expectations that you have for that customer? How do you want to treat that customer? Because if Johnny is 15 minutes late for work all the time, what does that tell your customer? So the expectations that you set, you have to perform them. And going through all the training that we do when I teach in-house, on-site, everything's followed. There's the start times, there's the break times, there's the lunch times.
That is your process for
That's
training.
my process. But if people are late, I'm already training. Guess what happens when they come in late that first time? They're kind of called out. They go, can you go rehash it? No, start time was at 7 o'clock in the morning. You're here at 10 after. You can give up one of your breaks if you want to rehash the first 10 minutes of what was gone over. Guess what? They're never late again.
Yeah. So, dear owner, accountability starts with people, and you are the first. So making yourself accountable to your coach, I might recommend Joel, and carrying that into your managers and your frontline cleaners will help not only your profitability, but your trustworthiness with your customers.
It'll also help keep the customers. Your retention rates will rise.
Yeah. Thank you, Joel.
You're welcome.